And we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about Temtem. It's our second Before You Buy of 2020, and I just want to say this again. I said it in the Kakarot video, but thank you guys for watching. When I started making these videos a few years ago, I never realized so many of you would find these useful. So again, just want to say thanks for watching, thanks for showing up. But anyway, Temtem. Let's talk about this surprise hit that seemingly came out of nowhere and shot to the top of the Steam charts overnight. A lot of you guys asked me about this one, so we figured we'd jump in. It's published by Humble Bundle and developed by Crema, a team from Madrid. It's currently in early access on Steam for $35, but every so often we do take a quick look into some of these types of things because, hey, they're asking for your money. And with Temtem, it's a promising start. It comes with the early access stuff, but there's a good foundation here for something really exciting down the line that a lot of players have been looking for. Now just keep in mind, these are strictly first impressions, but I'm going to give you as much of a glimpse into what you get here. I'm not going to mince words though in describing this game. It's a Pokemon game for PC players with MMO elements, straight up. You start in a small town, aspiring to be something more. The local professor lets you choose from one of 3 different creatures. You go out there and make them fight and catch more and grind and level up and beat gym leaders, all that stuff. I think anyone denying the pretty seemingly direct comparisons is kind of kidding themselves at this point. But this doesn't make it a bad game, not by any means. The longer you play it, the more it really comes into its own, and I hope that people don't immediately dismiss it as just a Pokemon knockoff, because there are some elements here that make it interesting and warrant playing and checking it out if it's your type of thing, if this genre is your thing. It's also got a special, slightly different charm to it that I was surprised to see. I'll get to in a little bit. I just wanted to acknowledge the comparisons though, because for some elements of the game, it's hard not to bring it up when outlining things. So you create your character at the start, you pick your name, your hair color, basic clothing, with the potential to buy more in stores later on down the line at towns throughout your adventure. The options are okay. I definitely like to see more, and I expect the game to get more, but for the time being, it's passable. You say goodbye to your home and you meet up with Professor Konstantinos and you pick your first Temtem, a wild beast that can only be controlled by a tamer. No, not a trainer, a tamer. You capture these creatures into high-tech playing card-looking devices, not balls, and you train them and collect them and battle them against other tamers and their Temtems. There are different types of them, like fire, mental, water, electric, with each having different strengths and weaknesses against each other in, rock, paper, scissors style thing. You typically have 2 Temtem out on the field at once and can battle against 1 or 2 others in turn-based battles. Now it's spun a little differently though, and I like it. Instead of managing PP, there's a stamina system. The different attacks use more or less stamina, so you have to put a little more thought into every single battle. Managing stamina means you can't just always use your craziest, best attack to just steamroll and smash through the opposition. If you exhaust too much stamina, your character can overexert itself and cause damage to itself, and you have to wait a turn to get some stamina back. It's a great give and take, and I learned to really enjoy it. And the regular 2v2 battles, just especially because the game is challenging, man. You could be fairly highly leveled up against an opponent and still get your ass kicked. You're always going to need to be managing potions and items in your inventory as an active thing, not really just a passive thing you have in your bag in case of an emergency. The stamina and synergy of using the right moves is a thing you got to pay attention to. Pretty close to the start, the game puts you through some gauntlet routes, man. Routes to the next town are often double or triple the size of one from Pokemon, and there are so many tamers out there standing there waiting to kick your ass, and of course, grass filled with wild creatures, almost to the point where it gets exhausting and borderline tedious at times, but it also makes it very rewarding when you do finally triumph. Now, if you like the grind of leveling up your ideal Pokemon party, you're going to be happy here because there is a lot of grind. But thankfully, it changes up the formula just enough through combat and stuff in ways to keep me interested. Oh, and I didn't really touch on it yet, but yeah, it's technically gearing up to be an MMO, or at least some massively multiplayer features. The world is alive with other tamers online that are running around, talking to NPCs, with their creatures following them close behind, and it kind of livens up the place. There's a few actions you can do, and chat isn't really implemented yet, but I expect this to become much more advanced, and I'd love to see what happens when there is more interaction and communication, because like I said earlier, the whole foundation here is solid, and this is a part of it. You can play through the world and battle cooperatively. Now, to be honest, I didn't have too much experience with this yet. I've seen some mixed opinions on the implementation, but overall, I think people are looking at co-op as just a big plus. And again, it's another feature that I expect to become way more of a bigger, cooler thing as time goes on, especially with embracing the synergy stuff, and if they eventually give you way more ways to work together, then I'm extra in. Now, the world of Temtem is set on fictional floating islands, and there's quite a bit of variety. You know, desert areas, caves, forests, beaches, and towns, of course. There's a surprising amount of elevation to areas, which I found really refreshing. And some of the interiors, like dungeons and the gyms, or rather dojos, really were extremely interesting, and actually more involved than just walking in a straight path. Now, the color palette and general art style, I'm really a fan of too. And it's generally okay to get running on lower end machines. It doesn't seem like a very demanding game. It also doesn't have a lot of advanced graphics options, but I hope it does have later on. But the fact that it is simple, I think that definitely helps its appeal for some people with a laptop who want a Pokemon style game. But it looks and sounds nice. The music is borderline really damn good and catchy. I want more of it though, more variety. You know, playing with headphones, I also appreciated the general sound design, except for some creature sounds. Some of the Temtem's sound choices are weird and funny. Maybe not intentionally, though. I swear to God, if you defeat, like, a few bird-type creatures, they literally make, like, stock duck noises. Like the stereotypical duck sound. Like they bought it off of a website. It's really funny and weird. I don't know. Also, the Temtems themselves, I'm not crazy about them. I've seen some interesting ones, but none of them really scratch the interesting character design itch for me. Just none of them really scream iconic or memorable. But of course, that's very much a matter of taste. Keep in mind, I also haven't seen them all yet. Thankfully, the way they learn moves and how you organize them is interesting and fairly easy to use. Plus, you can swap in and out learned moves without forgetting anything, and you can give them traits and items for unique, very special bonuses in battle. And what I also really enjoyed was the playful dialogue exchanges, even down to the random before and after battle dialogue. Like, there are response choices and some really surprisingly well thought out and funny responses and questions and replies. I was actually semi-interested in what people had to say in this world, and I never really expected that. And I saw a lot of people getting angry over the server quality. Now, at launch, the game struggled and servers were kind of whack. You also had to wait in queues a bit, and there were, and still are, crashes. I say, hey, this happens with every big game that's multiplayer or MMO at this point. Not that that's an excuse, but like, this is an early access game made by a small team, and they're super transparent so far with the community on this, and they've really been putting the work in and rapidly making noticeable changes, and it does show. I think it's respectable and worth a little patience. Ultimately, though, you need to decide if you want to spend $35 on this right now or wait until it's in the oven for longer. I'd like to see an expansion on the actual multiplayer stuff, way more to do in that regard, some tech cleanup, balances, economy tweaks. The clothes are way too expensive. Also, the quest tracking just isn't really too much of a thing yet. I need more stuff like that. But like I said, I think the foundation is really good here. Some people just aren't happy with Pokemon anymore. It seems to be like a thing people are outgrowing or just losing patience with. I don't know, there are so many like harsh Pokemon opinions out there, but like some people want that itch to be scratched, and for PC players, this seems to be coming pretty close and pretty respectively considering it's in early access still. I can't wait to see where this game goes, honestly. Because I can nitpick it, and it's very easy to write off and dismiss as a Pokemon ripoff. But if you can get past that, I think this is going to be a solid one, at least based off of first impressions. But of course, this is a before you buy, guys. You should probably know how this goes down by now. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion. And now I want to hear yours down in the comments. What do you think of this? Have you wanted a game like this? Are you tired with Pokemon? Are you still in love with Pokemon? Have you been playing this? Are you waiting for it to, become a little bit more developed? Or were you all in from the beginning? Have you been in their Discord, in their community? Let's talk anything Temtem. What your favorite creature is so far. We want to hear from you guys because we're very curious to hear what other people have to say about this, because on social media, a lot of people reached out. Either way though, whatever, if you enjoyed this video, maybe learned a thing or two, clicking the like button does really help us out. We would appreciate that. And of course, if you're new, it's worth considering subscribing because we put out videos every single day. But either way, as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.